This video is going to cover the meaning of the words rate, ratio, and proportion, and provide examples of each of those. To start, a rate is a comparison of two quantities. And so we've seen a bunch of examples of these, and I'll outline these in a moment, but a simple example would be 25 miles per hour. So traveling 25 miles in 1 hour would be a rate. Percentages can also be considered rate if we think of something like a sales tax rate of 8%. Another one we could look at is coffee consumption. Let's say 21 cups of coffee in 1 week. A ratio is simply a different way of writing these. So a ratio compares two quantities using division. And so I'll write out each of those examples that I just demonstrated. I'll make a table over here with rate. That's just a statement comparing two things, and then ratio. So if we take that first rate, let's say 25 miles per hour. If we write that then as a ratio, we'd write 25 miles over 1 hour. So comparing that with division, making it into a fraction. If we take that sales tax rate of 8%, so thinking of that rate of 8%, every single dollar then would be taxed 8 cents. And so we can think of that as 8 parts out of 100 parts. So if those are cents, then it's 8 cents out of every 100 cents. It can be scaled in other ways too. The last example I gave was 21 cups of coffee per week. And so I'll write that 21 cups coffee in 1 week. Now, as we look at these, particularly 21 cups of coffee in 1 week, we could write that in different ways. We could say 21 cups of coffee in 1 week is the same as 21 cups of coffee in 7 days, and then we could break that down into each day being 3 cups of coffee per week. And that idea of writing an equivalent ratio gets at the idea of a proportion. A proportion is a statement that two ratios are equal. So there's two things we can do. The first, and I'll give an example, and I'm going to take that 21 cups of coffee, and I'm going to change that to 7 days. And then I'm going to write the obvious equivalence, which is that if on average we have 21 cups of coffee in 7 days, then that's going to be proportional to 3 cups of coffee in 1 day. Noting that in these, coffee is in the numerator of each, days are the units in the denominator of each. And those two ratios are considered equal, they're proportional. Another example we could do would be to look at if we had 60 miles in 1 hour. So say we're traveling an average of 60 miles in 1 hour. Then we could say that we're going to travel X miles in 2.5 hours. And we could calculate what X is. Now, looking at that, we can see that we would be scaling by 2.5. We could fairly easily calculate that that's then going to be 150 miles. We'll build further and further with these. And we can also go to a more abstract example where we'd have something like x over 5 equaling x minus 2 over 7. And so looking at those, in each of these last two examples, we'll solve for the unknown. And that's where we're headed either in applications or in abstract examples. We'll solve proportions for the unknown.